England started with 3 conventional right-backs on the field. One was playing at left-back, one at right-back, and one in midfield, Trent Alexander-Arnold. It was an experiment that was abandoned at half-time. Why do you think it was?
Well, firstly, I think nothing wrong with changing the whole team. I think the over-analysis of playing 3 right-backs in the same side is a bit unfair because they all have potential to play different positions. Of course, Trippier played on the other side. Reece James can play as a centre-half or a wing-back or a full-back, and Trent can play wing-back, right-back, and obviously yesterday played in midfield. And against Andorra, I don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered too much. Why not play players in a role that they're not used to, see how they do? I think with Trent, it's a difficult one because people talk about the possibility of him playing in midfield because of his wonderful creativity and the amazing way in which he can open up a defence from more or less anywhere on the pitch. So it's obvious the chat about him being in midfield is there and consistent, but there's no rush on it for me, whether he ends up playing midfield or not. Right now, we have to just enjoy what we're watching with him. He's a great crosser of the ball. His passing's great. He's playing in a side that's free-flowing, goes forward. He plays with freedom. He's only 22. I mean, he's set these wonderful standards for himself. And then what we do is we want to focus on the negative aspects. We know defensively he's got work to do. Nothing wrong with that at 22 years of age. Not many fullbacks or defenders who at 22 have got it all sussed. And also, we are blessed in this right-back area. Very, very unusual, very unique predicament Gareth Southgate's in. And defensively, we've arguably got the best right-back in world football at the moment. The last 12 months he's played at that level, Kyle Walker. He had a wonderful Euros. I think he got right full-back at the tournament. So he is competing. Reece James plays for Chelsea, who won the Champions League. We have got some terrific players. So I wouldn't overly concern myself with thinking, how's he going to get back in the team? What position is he? Let's just enjoy him.
Okay.
Let it happen.
He said, I think, in the build-up to the game that he was disappointed with some of his performances for England, wasn't happy with the level that he'd got to whilst being on international duty. We spoke to him after the game, and this is what he said.
New role for me, a bit different, I think there's been a lot of questions being asked whether I can or can't play in there, and a lot of opinions being voiced over the last few weeks, especially about that. But, it was an experiment. The manager wanted to try it out. With difficulty on the ball for me, I found it a lot more difficult to get on the ball and in those spaces, But I think, whether I'm starting in there or starting right back, I think naturally I just find myself drifting into midfield, getting the ball in there and affecting the game. The only difference was I was starting in there, and it was a bit more difficult to really find the space that I wanted to. In the second half, we changed the system a little bit, and I was able to find a lot more space, get time on the ball, and get in positions that were fairly similar to playing in midfield anyway.
So there's Trent Alexander-Arnold speaking to us after the game yesterday, a game in which he was switched positions into the right fullback role at half-time. In terms of measuring his performance, was it always going to be difficult to judge him against a team like Andorra, who bank up 5 and then 4, deny you space in behind? There's not really that opportunity to whip those fantastic balls in, which we know that he's capable of.
I think for him, there's absolutely no doubt of anyone who's got a pair of eyes that wherever he plays on the pitch, he's going to affect football games. He can play well or play badly given any day like any player, but he will always try things and he'll always be able to make chances against any opposition. The fact we played such poor opposition is not helpful really to Gareth, I don't think, because ultimately what you want to test Trent with is defensive work if you're going to play in midfield. I've no concern wherever Trent played on the pitch with his ability, he'll make chances. The question mark is defensively over Trent, would he be able to adapt into that midfield role and do his defensive duties? Well, time will tell, but the same actually applies in his fullback position. We see England now kind of with a very consistent lineup. We see players in positions that we expect just to stay there. We do get lulled into this false sense of security when we've had a little good spell. Ultimately, things change so quickly internationally. It wasn't so long ago that Kyle Walker was being castigated for being sent off and causing a goal.
Exactly, a year ago.
Yeah, a year. And how things change. And it wouldn't surprise me and wouldn't worry me at all if this time next year when we're coming to the World Cup, pre-World Cup, that Trent's in the team and playing great, and we've got that luxury. I think okay, England are playing at the moment, so it's topical. But we look at the team and we think, well, how can anyone get in this team now? He's for example, if you look at the middle two, that partnership he's formed with Rice and Phillips. What should all the other midfielders like Bellingham and Henderson go home and give up? Of course not. We know things change. We know things evolve.
Bellingham certainly shouldn't go home and give up. He was absolutely fantastic yesterday, especially in that first 45 minutes. Silky touch, brilliant, gets up and down so well. He's just a wonderful technical footballer, and I think he's going to be a big part of England's midfield for some time to come. Ad says, I was at the game yesterday, second half. Trent went to the right-hand side, and after that, he was pinging balls left, right and centre for fun. Definitely more comfortable on the right-hand side. I agree with you. It definitely was. Just in that first half where he didn't really get into the game as much in the centre of midfield. I think also we should point out that Bellingham played very well, but also Jesse Lingard played really well as well. It's interesting to see what happens with him next. He's only played 4 minutes for Manchester United so far this season. Gareth obviously has got a bit of a soft spot for him. Scored yesterday twice, played very, very well. Ultimately, what happens if he doesn't play as many minutes for Manchester United, though? Because you can't keep picking him if he's not playing regular week in, week out, can you?
I'm amazed that he hasn't gone. I'm amazed that he didn't go for himself. I mean, he's just got the bug back. He was brilliant at West Ham. I've always been a fan of Lingard, even when people criticise him. When you watch Lingard play, he's what I call a really intelligent footballer, got great game awareness. What I mean by that is when to run behind, when to come into the space. He can play in various positions with his intelligence. I really like him. He'd have been a terrific signing for someone. And now with the signing of Ronaldo, and all the other players we've got in that position, in United have got in those positions, he'll probably end up out on loan. First chance he gets, won't he? I would imagine.
Surprised didn't go on loan at the end of this transfer window.
Yeah, I was.
His contract expires at the end of this season. Just wonder whether or not they're waiting. His people are waiting because they know he'll get a bumper payday. Maybe,
yeah. And I do understand that side of it.
It'll probably be a last big move for him at 28, coming on 29.
And I think that's fair, depending on what else was on the table. But there is that. When you're fresh and you're playing well and you've got that spring in your step, and then you have to.
16 games. He was so good on loan last year for West Ham.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1, on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.